Fear. Do you fear certain foods? Do you fear toxins? Are you constantly obsessed with what is in your food, what is on your body, what's in the air, that you are actually making yourself sick from the fear and the stress? Let's talk about it. Are you ready to forget the fads, diet dogma, and go beyond the calorie? You know deep down there's gotta be a better way. Welcome to Holistic Health Made Simple, where ancient wisdom and science collide. I'm Jolene, your nutritional therapy practitioner, and I'm here to empower you to think outside the box and finally get healthy. Together, we'll dive into the power of the gut, metabolism, and your overall health. No more yo-yo dieting, no more quick fixes, and no more confusing advice. Just simple, practical, and personalized steps that will help you reach your goals and feel amazing. Are you ready to reclaim your health? Grab some water and let's go! Hey there! So today I am going to try and put your mind at ease and tackle the fear-mongering that is out there in the health and wellness space. Now, some of you might be oblivious to it or just ignore it altogether. And some of you, it's what's got you so confused on whether you're doing things right or wrong. And some of you are truly fearful of things that maybe you shouldn't be fearful of. And when I say you shouldn't be fearful of it, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be avoiding it for health reasons. It means you shouldn't be afraid of it. There's a difference from taking something out of your diet to improve your health and then being actually afraid of that item because you're so fearful of getting sick again. There's two different things there, and that's understanding your body, but we'll dive into that a little bit. But first, let's talk about the big issue. I saw someone make a comment the other day that when they were in the holistic health space, they were so obsessed and fearful of all the toxins out there that they were actually sicker than when they just stopped worrying about it all and they just did what they could do. So let's start first off that I am a nutritional therapy practitioner, which is the equivalent of a holistic nutritionist. And as a holistic nutritionist, I look at the whole body from top to bottom. Fear. Fear has no place in holistic health and wellness. It just doesn't. If you're fearful of something, especially an unfounded fear or a fear of something you can't even control, that is not a whole being. We address in holistic health, top to bottom, mind, body, and soul. Fear has no place there. Now, there are some things you should fear of, like bears. You don't want to go pet a bear. Do we want them on our side when we're in a fight? Of course, but we don't want to go pet one unless maybe there's a trainer. I don't know, but off topic. So we don't want unfounded fears or obsessive fears, especially when there's a lot of things we can't control. So now we're fearing things that we have absolutely no control of. Let's first tackle food. It's actually a little bit easier, but when we're looking at food and a fear of food. Now, for a lot of people who have struggled with their health and weight for years, when you remove certain food groups or food items, you get healthier, you get your weight to a healthy weight. You can develop a fear for the foods you removed. Here's the thing, is those foods needed to be removed while you heal. And then now that you can hear your body, once you're healed, you've got your signaling working, your ghrelin and leptin, and you can notice when inflammation creeps up and when your body likes a food or doesn't like a food, you can introduce it and see if it works for you. Now, there are certain foods like celiacs. Please don't ever introduce wheat or gluten because it's not good for you at all and won't be, unfortunately. If you have something like Hashimoto's, dabbling in some gluten and dairy may be okay on a rare occasion, but having it regularly probably isn't going to be helpful for your condition. We'll get into autoimmune diseases in a different one, but once there's damage to the tissues, that can't be undone. We can only improve our quality of life. So that's when we avoid foods to get healthier, to get leaky gut, and all those junctions tightened up, get our gut healed up, and then we start reintroducing things to see how they affect us. Do they cause binge eating? Do they cause gastric distress? Do they cause sugar cravings? There is a lot going on that you have to kind of wait till you can really listen to your body and see how things are affecting you. Do your joints get achy? All sorts of things. But there becomes this unnatural fear of foods. For instance, I'm no secret that I started a keto journey almost 8 years ago now. I did have a fear of fruit. And let's be real, I didn't get overweight and sick and morbidly obese by eating fruit. That's not what caused it. It was the ultra-processed foods. It was bad seed oils. It was eating mostly carbohydrates that were processed. It wasn't eating natural whole foods. Now, some of you could say, well, I switched to whole foods and I still didn't lose any weight, but your body didn't heal. So there comes a time where we have to look at the big picture and do what we need to do to get as healthy as we're going to get. And then we can start testing the waters with some of these whole foods. Fruit is one of them. It shouldn't be demonized. Now, should you eat only fruit? Not if you've had issues with insulin resistance, but having it on occasion, or like I like to say, eat it in season in moderation. Right now it's summertime here, or just about summertime in the US. I'm in California. Cherries grow here. It's cherry season. I love cherries. And cherries are actually low on the glycemic index, but they're higher in carbs. But you know what? I have them for the month or two they're in season, like throughout the week, a little here and there, not a lot. I don't eat a pound at a time. I eat 4 or 5 at a time. And then when the season's done, I'm done with them until next year. That's how this works. And I don't eat fruit I don't like. I don't eat anything I don't like anymore. Life's too short to force food down that you do not like. But the same goes for other vegetables. It's summer. There are a lot of vegetables that we get in the summer, fresh, that we don't get in the winter. That's the time to eat them. But I digress a little bit and go back to the fear. There was a time that I lived in such of an echo chamber, and I know a lot of us do. We follow the people out there that have the same views or that make sense. But if you don't have some competing views, you end up in this echo chamber, and next thing you know, you're repeating everything you say. Right now, the key phrase in the low-carb world, in the carnivore world, is that produce is trying to kill you between the anti-nutrients, the lectins, and the oxalates. There's only a problem with that is if your body's not processing them because your gut health is so poor. And how did our gut health get so poor? From all the processed foods we ate. Didn't get poor because we were eating fruits and vegetables. It got poor by the foods it couldn't digest properly, or an abundance of them, should I say. So we need to look at things as a whole. So why are you fearing something that grows naturally? Now, the same can be said for the other camp who's anti-meat. What's this fear of meat? There is not a single study that can link meat to poor health. Not a single one. It can have a correlation of some sort, but there's lots of other things going on. When they start to do a nitty-gritty control trial of it, they can't make any specific link. So we need to stop fearing natural foods. Now, I even am going to say you can stop fearing ultra-processed foods. I don't want you to eat them, but you can stop fearing them. If on a rare occasion you have one, it's not going to kill you. I hate to break it to you. We are human beings. We're never going to be perfect. When we start trying to live in the world of perfection, that's when we get sicker and sicker. And while we're on the topic of foods, we can talk about endocrine disruptors or estrogen mimicking compounds in the foods, or the glyphosate on the outside, organic versus non-organic, pesticides versus non-pesticides. It could really make you crazy. Here's the first step. Live within your budget, but buy the best you can afford within your budget. And sometimes that means going to the farmer's market. Sometimes that means going a little bit out of your way to get a better quality at a cheaper price. Things like pesticides do leave residues, does make it hard for our body to expel them, especially when our detox pathways in our body gets overloaded. There's this thing when it comes to things like glyphosate and pesticides, and then environmental toxins and the things in the air, the things we put on our skin, all of that, we have this thing called a toxic resiliency. And depending on where you are on that spectrum is dependent on how you're going to deal with the toxic load that you're inputting to your body. If your detox pathways are open and your body can take those toxins that you've ingested, breathe, and ingesting means breathing in, absorbing through your skin, and get them out of your system, you're not going to find an issue with some of the environmental toxins, with some of the things. It's when we get overloaded, our body can't get it out fast enough, or our detox pathways start getting clogged, we can't get it out at all, that we create a problem. Living in a house that is full of toxic mold can rapidly overload your system and not be able to get it out because it's an excessive amount of toxins. So we want to be aware of day-to-day light toxins versus a heavy toxic load. And depending where you work and what industry you're in, you're getting a ton of toxins just from that. So we need to be really aware of how our body's dealing with things. And before you go run out and buy the latest, greatest detox that's out there, understand that detox teas, detox juices don't necessarily do what you need them to do. There are supplements, there are protocols, but there's more to it than just getting the toxins out of the cells. You've got to bind them with something, and then you have to be able to eliminate them. So it requires lots of levels on your body, and that's where a qualified practitioner will help. They can help you through some of the symptoms that will come up as you're trying to detox. They will guide you through the different steps that you need to do to help make sure that these toxins actually get out of your body and not just relocate. Sometimes we do something that we think is healthy and it's all the trend on TikTok and Instagram, but what it does is it pulls the toxins out of the cells, but they're not bound to anything and they can't get out, and so all they do is resettle in different cells. We don't want that. So if you don't understand that a detox tea, a detox juice, even an enema, if you don't have someone guiding you through the full process, or you don't do your homework and understand all parts of a detoxification process for a major detox, don't do it on your alone. Go reach out to someone. Trust me, it's going to be the difference of getting sicker or actually getting healthier. So this fear of toxins and this fear of food is detrimental to your health. Fear is detrimental to your health. If you live in fear of people, it's detrimental to your health. So we need to be okay that we're going to be exposed to things that we don't want to be, and do the best we can within our budget. Make the changes we can. And I'm going to be honest with you, make them slowly. When you start making certain changes with products around your house, let's start with there. If you make certain changes with your toothpaste, your tube's empty before you buy that Crest or Colgate, like normal, go find a more natural form of toothpaste to lighten the toxic load in your mouth. Now, your mouthwash, same thing. A while back, I did an episode on antibacterial, and I included mouthwash. We don't want to use that in our mouth because it affects the mouth microbiome, which then affects our gut microbiome. I say this not to make you afraid. What I'm saying it is that you buy something better. There are lots of things better. Or you don't use mouthwash anymore. Just Take the money you would spend on mouthwash and the money you would spend on toothpaste and get a good holistic toothpaste that will do both. It's that simple. And actually save you money in the long run, because lots of times we use a lot of excess products we don't need. Moisturizer. I know this isn't for everybody. I kind of use a mix of avocado oil and coconut oil. I put a little bit I take a little jar, I put the coconut oil in there, I get it so it's liquid depending on the time of year. Sometimes you have to heat it up a little. I mix in the avocado oil and I leave that little bit in my bathroom. The big ones are in my kitchen for when I cook. It's that simple. There's a lot of things you can do that don't actually cost you extra. And there's a lot of natural brands out there that are no more expensive than the name brand stuff that you're using that has a lot of toxic chemicals that maybe you do need to reduce because your body's starting to get overloaded. We have to do the best we can. Hair care products, there's all sorts of things. There's a website, and I honestly don't remember the name of it, but it will check the ingredients and give you a grade. I think it's the EGW or EWG. I always get it mixed up, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Do the best you can within your budget. I'm going to touch on meat, and I'm going to scare a lot of people out there. But when it comes to beef, every cow is grass-fed. It's how it's finished. If you can afford grass-fed, grass-finished meat, go for it. If you can afford grass-fed organic, which means it's grain-finished at the end, but it's all organic feed, go for it. If you can only afford conventional meat, go for it. Buy what's within your budget. It's still going to be healthier than the ultra-processed food that's out there. And if you're going with a conventional meat, trim the fat off. That's where a lot of the toxins are stored. And depending on the state you're in, honestly, there's a lot of new laws coming out where antibiotics and hormones are not allowed anymore. So be really familiar with what your state allows. And again, if you can get with a local farmer and with a few families and split something, an animal like a cow or a pig, and get it straight from the farm, it's going to be the healthiest it can be. When it comes to chicken, there's organic chicken, there's pasture chicken, and then there's conventional chicken. Buy the best you can afford. Make sure there's no antibiotics and no hormones in the chicken. That's the key. And when you start getting an organic chicken and a pasture chicken, you start looking at the other chicken, like the conventional chicken you've been getting for years, and going, why are the chicken breasts so big? That's not normal. At least I do. But do the best you can. That's all we can do. And stop buying into the fear mongering. You know, there's a direct correlation of when we started getting sick and when ultra processed foods came out. So we got to look at that. We've got to start where we can. And as we can do better, do better. But don't think you're failing and you're going to die because you can't buy the best, most expensive, clean everything out there. It's not holistically healthy to have fear in foods. Fear of foods that you couldn't have while you were ill does not mean you can't have them now, and that fear is problematic. Food needs to be nourishing your body. Get to a point where you can hear your body and listen to it well, what it's telling you, and then introduce what you can or what you would like to and see what your body tells you. It's the one that's going to tell you if it's okay or not some random person on the internet, not even me. I can help you decipher what you're seeing, feeling, and hearing what your body's telling you, but I can't tell you if a food's good for you or not. On that note, friends, be healthy, be wise, be happy, and do not fear food. I love y'all. Bye. Thanks for listening in today. I hope you got some nuggets to take on your health journey. Remember, this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes. No medical advice is being given. By listening to this podcast, you agree to the full disclaimer, which is linked in the show notes. If you found this podcast helpful, could you take 30 seconds and leave a review? Your feedback means the world to me, and it helps others discover my show. Once again, thank you for being part of my community. Until next time, have a blessed day.